There's a certain audacity to Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle's The Mote in God's Eye. It doesn't just aim to be a first contact story, it wants to be the first contact story, the definitive tale of what happens when humanity encounters something truly alien. And for the most part, it succeeds. That is, if you're willing to forgive a few quirks along the way, like some oddly retrograde gender politics, and a pace that occasionally feels like it's taking the scenic route through space. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a book that deserves to be unpacked layer by layer, like some kind of intergalactic onion that occasionally makes you cry, sometimes out of awe, and occasionally because you've stumbled across another paragraph of technobabble. The story begins in the far future, where humanity has built a sprawling empire called the Second Empire of Man. A bit presumptuous, isn't it? The Second Empire, as if they're already anticipating the Third. The empire is run by a mix of aristocrats, military types, and bureaucrats who have clearly spent too much time reading Dune and thinking. Yes, this is aspirational. Our main protagonist, Captain Roderick Blaine, is the kind of stoic, square-jawed space captain who would have been played by Charlton Heston if this had been a movie in the 1970s. He commands the MacArthur, a starship that's part exploration vessel, part war machine, and entirely unfit for what it's about to stumble into. What it stumbles into, of course, is the Mote system and the Moties. Let's talk about the Moties. They're one of science fiction's great alien creations, so complex, so utterly other, that you can almost forgive them for being ridiculously over-engineered. They're biologically specialized to an absurd degree, mediators, masters, workers, and the utterly terrifying warriors, who are basically murder machines on legs. They're clever, they're fascinating, and they're hiding some dark secrets that make humans look like amateurs in the self-destructive species department. In fact, if you think humanity's bad at long-term planning, wait until you meet the Motes. Their entire civilization is like a Rube Goldberg machine built on the premise of inevitable catastrophe. It's brilliant, it's horrifying, and it's a reminder that no matter how alien they are, they're still a reflection of us. Of course, first contact doesn't go smoothly. It never does it? Humans, being humans, are immediately suspicious, paranoid, and just a little too trigger-happy. The Motes, for their part, are disturbingly polite. Almost too polite. You know that feeling when someone is smiling at you, and you're pretty sure they're also hiding a knife behind their back. That's the Motes. They're charming and fascinating, but they're also playing a long game, and you can't shake the feeling that humanity is the mouse to their cat. The heart of the story isn't just the aliens, though. It's the clash of perspectives. Military pragmatists like Admiral Kutuzov, who's ready to nuke the Motes at the first sign of trouble. Idealists like Sally Fowler, who wants to understand them. And Captain Blaine, caught in the middle, trying to navigate a path that doesn't end with everyone dead or enslaved. The stakes are existential, and the tension builds as humanity learns more about the Motes and realizes just how dangerous they really are. It's like watching someone open Pandora's box in slow motion, only to discover that Pandora had a warehouse full of boxes. The writing is, well, it's very 1970s science fiction. There's a lot of detail, a lot about the technology, the politics, and the intricacies of space travel. At times, it feels like Niven and Pournelle are flexing their knowledge of engineering just to remind you how smart they are. But when they're not bogging you down with descriptions of propulsion systems, they're crafting scenes of genuine suspense and wonder. The first encounter with the Motes is a masterclass in building tension, and the gradual unraveling of their secrets is as gripping as any mystery novel. That said, the book isn't without its flaws. The pacing can be uneven, with some chapters feeling like they're dragging their feet, while others sprint through key events. And then there's the portrayal of women, which is, let's call it a product of its time and leave it at that. Sally Fowler, the main female character, is intelligent and resourceful, but she's also written in a way that feels dated, as if the authors were struggling to decide whether she should be a scientist or a love interest and ended up trying to split the difference. But despite its imperfections, The Mote in God's Eye is a landmark of science fiction. It's a book that asks big questions about humanity, survival, and the nature of intelligence. It's also a cautionary tale, a reminder that sometimes the biggest threat isn't what's out there in the void, it's what's lurking within ourselves. Or, in this case, within a race of biologically hyper-specialized aliens with a penchant for overpopulation and a history of blowing themselves up every few centuries. In the end, The Mote in God's Eye isn't just a book, it's an experience. It's the kind of story that sticks with you, not because it's perfect, but because it's ambitious, thought-provoking, and just a little bit unsettling. It's a mirror held up to humanity, reflecting both our potential and our flaws. And if that's not what great science fiction is supposed to do, then what's the point? So, should you read it? Absolutely. But be prepared to think. This isn't a light read, it's a dense, chewy novel that demands your attention. But if you give it that attention, it'll reward you with one of the most compelling first contact stories ever written. Like and subscribe for more bookish content, and if you've read The Mote in God's Eye, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do the Moties haunt your dreams, or is it just me? Cheers!